Hey you guys, it's me SpongeBob #1 fan 2003 here, and as you can see I'm here with a super duper cool vintage SpongeBob coloring book, and this one is called Soak It Up, and I actually just got this book a few days ago and I absolutely love this coloring book. It's very super cute. Okay, so as you can see on the front cover there's adorable little SpongeBob and he's on a unicycle. And then there are some really cool stamps right here. There's a really cool ink pad with blue ink. And then there's a stamp of SpongeBob and Patrick and one of Squidward. And then right there it just says with serifric stamps, and there they are right there. And this is obviously a vintage coloring book because you can tell the SpongeBob logo and all that. Okay, and here is the spine. And here is the back. It basically looks just like the front cover, but it doesn't have, like, well, it has, all of this right here. That's what I meant. Okay. So let's go ahead and start looking at the pages that are in this book. Oh yeah, and it even has the stamps right here too. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, let's start looking at the pages that are in this book. Okay. So firstly right here is this, I think advertisement for, you know, the Nick website and then Golden Books website. And then right there's a little picture of SpongeBob on his unicycle with Gary, and there's Soak It Up. And the cover was illustrated by Clint Bond, as you can see. And then the interior was illustrated by Clint Bond and Dan Davis. And this is obviously based off of the episode Boating School. And this book was made in the year 2001. Okay. So, firstly, here is this really cool activity where, like, you know, it's like a little maze. So you go down here and you try to get to SpongeBob's house. And then you hold this part up to a mirror and see what it says. And it also says SpongeBob SquarePants. So that's very cool. And then here is this, like, I guess it's like a little cute puzzle where you get to, you know, color this and then you cut it out. I think that's very super cool. And you obviously put it together like a little fun puzzle. And I like how it has like a fun little back design with flowers and jellyfish. And then here's this really cool, like, crack the code thing. So, like, you know, you get to, like, you know, you can see, like, there's little numbers right there, and there are the numbers right there, and then there's letters, so you would look at the numbers and write down the letters. And you can use this code to send secret messages to your friends. That's very cool. And then here is this really cool maze to help SpongeBob and Patrick get to Jellyfish Fields, and you have to try not to, you know, run into these things right here, like Plankton and Gary and that kelp crunch bar thing. You have to get to the jellyfish. And then here's this really cool activity for, like, you know, how many words can you make from the letters in SpongeBob SquarePants. So right there is obviously strange. And you would have to write some other words right here on these little lines. And then there's this little thing right here with, like, who is SpongeBob calling, and you get to follow the line from his phone to either Squidward or Sandy's phone. And the person that SpongeBob is calling is his friend Sandy. Okay, and then you get to hold this picture up right here to a mirror to find out what, I guess, Squidward is. Like, you know, SpongeBob, like, you know, Squidward saying that SpongeBob would never be able to do this, pass his boating test. That's kind of mean to say, but obviously SpongeBob's not the best driver, in my opinion. Alright. So SpongeBob is on his way to boating school, and he is ready, but Mrs. Puff is obviously not ready. As you can see, she is not ready because she knows what's about ready to happen. So SpongeBob and Mrs. Puff are in the boat. Mrs. Puff has her pencil and her clipboard, and SpongeBob is getting all nervous and scared, and he starts the boat, and then he floors it, and him and Mrs. Puff are about ready to crash, and you can see that Mrs. Puff lost her clipboard, and SpongeBob is going like really fast because he obviously floored it, and they obviously end up crashing. As you can see, they crash into that lighthouse, and you can see that poor little SpongeBob and Mrs. Puff are in a bad crash. And SpongeBob is back home, and he's very depressed because he failed his driving test for the 38th time, I think. Yeah, okay. So poor little SpongeBob failed his boating test for the 38th time, and Patrick actually comes over with Walkie Talkies, and he's wearing one of SpongeBob's pants. It looks so small on him. So Patrick actually puts one of the Walkie Talkies in SpongeBob's head, so you know he can tell SpongeBob what to do while he's driving. And then they put a hat on SpongeBob just so SpongeBob won't look so weird with the antenna sticking out of his little head. And then SpongeBob has his apple for his teacher and his lucky undergarments. His lucky undergarments. And he's obviously sitting in the car waiting for Mrs. Puff. And then Mrs. Puff gets into the car and SpongeBob gives her the apple. And then Patrick is sitting in SpongeBob's library, and as he's sitting in the library, he has a telescope and his walkie-talkie, and he tells SpongeBob to not floor it. And SpongeBob follows the directions, and he does very, very well. And he's about ready to pass his boating test, and then SpongeBob cries. He bursts into tears and starts revealing that he has an antenna in his head, and he's a cheater, pumpkin eater. So SpongeBob bursts into tears, he breaks down crying, and then he crashes again, and Mrs. Puff is seriously injured, and paramedics take her to the hospital. But fortunately, SpongeBob is still mobile on his unicycle, and him and Gary go to visit Mrs. Puff at the hospital. And then here's this really cool like little activity where you get to I'll replace each letter with the one that comes before it in the alphabet, and you find out what they are saying, and they're saying, "Who's ready? I'm ready." And then some really cool puppets, like, you know, you get to cut these out, and you get to either cut or tape the thing to the end of a popsicle stick. So there's SpongeBob and Gary, and you get to make your own adventures. And a really fun little jellyfish and flower design again, as you've seen earlier. And then there's Patrick, a Patrick one, I should say. And then the last one is Squidward, playing his clarinet. And that is actually pretty much all for this book. And then here's this advertisement right here for some sort of game. Whoa, fall 2001, man, that was like nearly 21 years ago. Holy mackerel. Okay, so that is actually pretty much all for Soak It Up. I actually really super like this coloring book. My favorite part about it is probably how cool it is, and it's such a vintage, like, it's such an old SpongeBob book, which I love because, like, the illustrations in this are so cool, and it's so, like, awesome seeing a vintage coloring book like this in such great condition. Okay, so yep, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So goodbye everybody, have a great day, and peace out.